to go over in this point, or at this in this video at this point. And I'm gonna go with infinite ammo because I kind of just want to get through the game and show you where I would have changed certain things. So, I was going to explain before, right before my wife came in, that the areas in the game and the enemies tied to those areas are tied in a way to Evelyn's concepts of family. And so Jack's concept for Evelyn represents security. So that's why in Jack's area, you're going through areas that have a lot of locks, a lot of strange mechanisms. The whole point of Jack is, I mean, he's a trained Marine for one, so he has that kind of physical security for Evelyn, and he is also extremely powerful. He's extremely strong, where he's throwing you around. He's fucking ripping gates in half. He's tearing off the roof of your car. So he's doing all these really strange things that only a really strong person could do. And that, as a child of a parent, that gives you a feeling of security, that your parent is able to do things that will protect you if you are in danger. Doors like this are also a representation of security. A locking mechanism like this takes a key, and once you get that key, then you can open it. So the whole theme of this entire main house is security. That's why there's a lot of locks here, and that's why there's strange things like you have to take, you have to use this to go and put it on the other. Oh, I might as well go do that actually. Now that I think about it, you gotta take off that clock's pendulum or medallion and go put it on this other clock to get the next dog head. It's all supposed to give you an idea of Evelyn's want to be secure and to be safe. So that's another reason why Jack does things like he patrols the house, kind of like a guard would patrol the house, So that's let me see, let me get this right on my computer because I wrote down a bunch of stuff. Instead of us running into Molded in the basement, which I'm going to show you very soon, we would be running into Jack down there for a little bit, and then the rest of it we're going to run into Mia. So I'll explain that in a sec once we get this second head here. I would also change the way the downstairs basement area is designed. You wouldn't have weird furnaces, because it really doesn't make any fucking sense why there are furnaces down there. That are clearly used to cremate bodies. I suppose Jack could have put them in for whatever the main game's reason for him putting them in the game would have been, but that would be changed in the revised version. Also, in the revised version, before I go and meet Jack, this would be different too down here. Let me switch over to my powerful shots. I said before that there would be a room right here where it would lead to the hovel for Zoe, but instead we'll just have the laundry room here be the area where it leads to the hovel. You'll run in here and say right after you save poor deputy, you guys come out of the garage. You're talking about how fucking crazy your father is. He's walking right here, and Zoe opens the door, and he's like aiming at her, and you're like, whoa, 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 that's my sister. Don't do that. And he's like, well, that was your father, and he almost fucking killed us. And of course, Zoe's like, whoa, I'm not like them. Come in here. We need to talk. Aaron and Zoe are Aaron's trying to pump Zoe for information, and she's like, there's no time. We got to hurry up. Remember, since this is only 6 months after the situation with Evie occurred, Zoe is more frantic and she's less laid back about what's going on, because she's been in the real game. She's been living with this for around 3 years. Fucking ridiculous. So to change that up, we'd make it she'd be more frantic, less controlled, more scared. And so she's leading poor deputy down here. She's like, come under here, come under the house, and you can, get to, we can go to a safe place and talk. So her and poor deputy go down there, but as Aaron's going down, you see a shadow cross across the screen right here, and Jack grabs you and, kind of chokes you up. And then he does the scene that we'll see in the bathroom where he's like, beats the hell out of dying and stuff like that. So he actually destroys this area and stops you from being able to use that. He throws you over here. to this part, and then you get Jack, you know, coming around the table on you and shit like that. So we're gonna just go ahead and go through that bathroom scene and get the wood statuette, and I'll explain some more stuff. The rest of the stuff they have to talk about is going to take place in the basement. So there's the shotgun. We can't grab that yet. I don't see any problem with having this in the game, including this door, because it plays into the theme of security as well. So when you grab that, the door closes when you grab the shotgun. So that actually plays into the theme of security as well. So I think we should go ahead and keep that for the revised version. Anyway, let's head on upstairs and trigger Jack's attack. There's Evie. Let's see. I don't need that. I've already been through here, right? Yeah, I have. I was already through here in the second video. Let's go ahead and trigger Jack. Somebody take a dookie. You hear that? You hear that drop? Gross. Anyway, that's just ammo. This is an antique coin. We don't fucking need that. Alright. Drop that through. This is another thing that plays into the game's idea of security, where these weird mechanisms and traps and things like that have been put into the game to just kind of as an artistic manifestation of Jack's need to protect her and her need to be protected. Shit, I forgot to change it to the I wanted to change it to the French language, but fuck it. Pop him, put him down. Alright, alright, alright. The next revisions are down in the basement. So we got the wood statuette. Head through the main hall. And after Jack attacks you in the laundry room and you evade him, there are several different ways you can evade him. At that point, you won't have a gun because poor deputy is still alive, but he will have given you the knife. And you can use the knife. I might as well go grab the knife. You can use the knife for several different things throughout the revised version of the game, including dealing with certain types of enemies. If Jack is coming after you, with the revised version of the game, you will actually be able to duck under certain tables and evade his sight and get away from him, get out of the area that he's in. Like, we wouldn't have it to where this thing is so small to kind of be like a long table and you could just slide right under it, kind of like hunker down, and you could avoid his sight. Also, you could slash him across the eyes. If you hit him correctly in the head, it'll... Shit, that scared me. I forgot he does that. Oh my god. Fucking jackass. God, that made me jump. Anyway, if you hit him across the eyes, you can kind of blind him for a second, and that'll stop him from coming after you, so you can get away. Close that up. And basically, you would find the wood statuette, stick it on this little thingy thing here. Do the Sky Hunter puzzle. Secret door opens up. Aaron would comment on what the hell is going on in this house. And of course, this is another thing that Jack has implemented into the house. Secret passages. I really like this too. You would have a lot more of the mold like this would be more visible on the other parts of the house, and it only seems to be visible in certain places in the game. But I would make it more visible. There would be more mold around the place. Kind of like that. You see how there's mold up there? That is perfect. I love that design. Alright, so get in here. This looks like... I don't know what the fuck is up with this room. Why does this room actually exist? I'm not really sure. Anyway. Cut him up. We don't need that. Well, I guess we might as well make another healing item. Alrighty. So, there would also be... This would not happen like this. You see how there are a bunch of boxes with yellow tape around the house? That would not be there. Items would be organically placed, kind of like the psychostimulants here, and how chem fluids in the fridge. It would be stuff like that. I wouldn't even go with chem fluid. Like, I would have kept that shit like out of the game and just had like the bottles, these bottles here. Oh, I didn't even do that. I would have just had these bottles be around in certain places. Like, you could have easily stuck on any of these walls. There would, or this shelf here. What the fuck? That's never happened before. On this shelf, there would have been like a healing item and stuff like that, and you could grab it organically out of the game instead of breaking open these weird ass fucking boxes where items just seem to be for some reason. Ammo would change as well. I'm going to explain later on how the molded work in the revised version, and some of the molded will drop ammo because of how they work, but I'll explain that later. Let's go ahead. We'll go through here. This room's here. We deal with our first molded. I think this is just a bunch of worms. Yeah, a bunch of maggots. Let's deal with our first molded. I would not actually have you fight a molded here. If anything, it would kind of be... You know what? Actually, I just pulled the fucking idea right out of my head. Let me kill this asshole first. Alright, so now that I think about it, yeah, we could make the first molded fight actually work here, but it wouldn't be the type of molded I will explain later, which is kind of a replacement for the fast molded. In this case, when you see mold like this, that's all over the walls, there are particular molded that are stuck to the walls that will actually reach out and grab you. They'll try to force you into the wall. They'll throw you around. They hit you with their arms. They try to reach out and cut you with their bone fragment fingers. And the way I would have designed the molded, instead of them looking more like bio-organic creatures, they would be still partially human. So you would see... like a person's eyes sticking out. You'd see like a person's face sticking out of the mold, and their eyes are completely white and drained of color, and their mouth is hanging agape. And the way to defeat a molded in this game is to attack the parts of them that are still human, because you do the most damage that way. You cause them to stagger. And so with this molded that is on the wall here, whenever you get to an area where there's just a bunch of mold all over the walls, you'll oftentimes run into these particular molded that are in the wall and attack you from that range. From here, you could have it swipe at you and kind of evade backward, and then you could just run through the door to get away from it. Or you could actually have it swipe at you and cut it across the arms, or hit it in the parts of it that are still human to actually kill it. Now, killing that kind of molded will not produce anything unless they have a certain victim inside them, and I'll explain what that means later. So we'll come out here, and I mean, let's just stick another one right there. He can't really hurt you unless you get too close. We'll just stick another one there, and imagine like this person. It's practically a human being, but they're like, they're moaning and they're crying, and the human is still within them, just kind of lost in a dreamlike state. You know what I'm saying? The victim is still alive, just trapped in this mold, and partially a creature and partially a human. Imagine how fucking creepy that shit would be to see that, and how they would move slow until you get close to them, where they become more active and they reach out toward you and they fucking hiss at you and shit. That would be creepy as hell, man. But anyway, you want to make it around here, and this is another thing that Jack has implemented into the game. I probably wouldn't have like this all around the scorpion icon, but I would have this scorpion icon right here. And the locking mechanism is the most important thing. Remember what I said about safety. So we can't go out there. This door would not be a safe room. I'm going to explain very soon where the safe room will be. But this door in particular would not be a safe room. It'd just probably be an area where more items can be found. And more... oh, you know what? Let's add something important instead of just having it be some random fucking room. So this area we could say is Marguerite's office in the house. And remember I explained that Marguerite is she is a professor. She has her PhD. And she works online, so we would see Marguerite's computer. It doesn't have to be the most high-tech of high-tech computers. We could say it's an old computer, but it still runs. And she does mostly online stuff. So she'd have all of her files all over the place, all of her documents. Hell, we could even throw in this old fucking CD player here. This, what is it called? A vinyl record player? Yeah, a record player. And it would give you kind of an insight into who Marguerite is. You'd see pictures of animals and pictures of the forest, because I'm going to explain later on with Marguerite, we're changing her focus from bugs and insects to animals. So you'll be fighting certain mutated animals in her fight and in the old house area when you get to her. But for now, you're going to be seeing a bunch of pictures of animals in the forest all around the place. You'll see a bunch of books that Marguerite herself had written. Also, you won't see shit like this. Look at these jars of, like, weird organs and stuff. I'm not really sure why they put that in the game, because it's not really high definition enough for you to be like, ew, that's gross and scary. It's just kind of weird. So that's stupid. Anyway, you would see her computer, and you would be able to access her computer, and you would read kind of a diary log of how her infection is beginning, and how Jack was the first one that it really started affecting. You know what I'm saying? That Evie really started affecting, and then eventually it spread to Marguerite, and she became a slave to Evie's demands. So when you walk in this room initially, as soon as you open the door, let's close the door. As soon as you open the door, you'll walk in, and you'll start to see a flashback of your mother, you know, at her desk typing, and you know she's talking to her students. And then as you get closer, the flash will change to Marguerite actually going through the change and becoming kind of monstrous. And as you get closer, you get the harrowing music, and you get you get the weirdness happening. And when you get too close, she turns around, and she'll be like, in her mutated state, and then she'll flash away. So you'll be in this part of the room where it's dilapidated, and there's all the evidence that she was here at some point, but of course she's not here anymore. So we can I just pulled that right out of my ass. I didn't even write that down, but I mean, there's always time for character moments, and I want directors and developers always to do that. There's always time for character moments. So as you come down here, there'll be a creature in the wall there. I like the design layout of this, how it's a circle in this basement area, and there'll be some creatures here, a creature there. Well, we don't want to put too many of them. We want to have enough to where it looks like there's a lot of people who have come here and been captured, but we don't want to put too many of them. So maybe about 2 of them down here in this area. Oh shit, I forgot about you. God, game, stop fucking scaring me. Furthermore, I get rid of that. You see how I shot him and he acted like he wasn't affected? That is fucking annoying. Even though it apparently did damage, he's just like, whatever, I'm going to complete my attack animation on you. Jackass. Anyway. So, we go down here, and Jack would spawn about right here, and you'd hear him talking around when you go this way, so that you can dip in here. Oh shit! Why do I keep forgetting? Alright, we might as well kill Dickhead McGee over here. That comes out of this area. Alright. So anyway. Jack would spawn around this corner and you would hear him talking. So you'd duck in here. And we'd actually, instead of having these useless shelves here, we'd kind of have a wardrobe here where you can get inside it and hide from him. Kind of like how you can in hide under the beds in The Evil Within. I know Peter knows plenty about that. But there would be areas where you can hide from him as he comes in here looking for you. And as he leaves, instead of having this weird furnace room, is it even called? It's called a processing area, but I don't understand why the fuck this is even in the game, because I guess Jack has put this in to turn the people into the molded, which is why a molded came out of there. But instead of that happening, I would have the molded process be a more organic one where it happens on its own. You kind of like you can see, let me just see right here where the mold goes up the wall. This would all be one of those enemies that are in the wall would be stuck here, and that is the processing process. So when you're a young molded, you're kind of stuck in the wall, and you eventually grow further and further out from the wall until you become something else. But it's not going to be anything like this. These molded, I would not have went with. This creature design is really cool when you look closely. But in the game, they really are uninspired as hell, and that's a real shame. So that's how I would do that mold. I wouldn't have it to be, he actually creates a processing area. Instead of having that down here, the processing area, I would have a level or a lever system. So what I would do is these would be levers that open and close certain mechanical doors down here. So let's just go grab this. This would be a regular door, a wooden door. But there would be a door here. There would be all the way back where all the metal doors down here in this area would also be electronic doors that, remember, Jack has outfitted the house so that it's more secure for Eveline, or gives her the feeling of security. So it would be stuff like this where you can't open it, but you would go into that room and you would be able to open certain doors and close certain doors with that lever system. And what I would do is I would actually have Mia show up down here when you open this door after Jack, because when Jack comes through it, it closes behind him. So you go in here, you hide from Jack, and you start fucking around with the lever system. Over here, we would stick kind of a what the fuck? Just remember 3 hand puts in. Okay. Who was do what you want with his girl? I think that's Jack that wrote that. Lucas, I caught the guy who keeps trying to escape. I blocked him up in the leftmost incinerator so he can't get out away again. Take it. Yeah. I think that's Jack that wrote that. Cool. So yeah, Jack would have written some directions here for Lucas with the lever system to tell him that this lever corresponds to this door, corresponds to this door. And the player, of course, won't be familiar with the area initially. So you will have to just kind of fuck around with the levers until it works to where you're getting where you want to go. I wouldn't lock this area off, too. This would be also controlled by the levers. Now, when you get down here and you unlock this door, when you open it, Mia would be coming down the steps, and she would be her berserk form. So your first thought is to go back through the door and to avoid Mia. So you would have to both figure out a way around Mia and get further into this area down in the basement. So this door, that, like I said before, this would have been electronically controlled by the levers. Unlock that. Got the map here. This would just be an area where you can come down here and invade Mia to get away from her. And I would want to put Mia in the game more so that you can... I want to put the family in the game more. You know, they don't really... You don't run across them as much as I would have liked. You end up running into the molded a little bit too much. And it's like, I don't want to see the fucking molded. You know what I'm saying? They're not really scary. So it's just kind of a waste of time to shove the molded in my face. But when you have the family, it's not only scary that you have to get away from them, but it's also where you get more time to have them grow character-wise. So when you get around Mia, we're going to have to deal with these molded here. Let me see. Yep. The whole goal behind this door situation is to trap Mia in one of the rooms away from the room that you're trying to get to. So you'll trap her behind this door, and eventually she can break through the doors or open them. She can't break through them, but eventually she can open the doors. So the whole point is to trap her here and get into this door and close it. And once you close it, it electronically locks. Let me see here. Chill out, game. I'm trying to fucking read. Alright, yeah, the next stuff is in the next area. So let's deal with these stupid molded. Get one that spawns there, one that spawns here. By the way, as a quick aside, I figured out that I technically have already beat the game on easy mode, normal mode, and normal mode, because I was thinking maybe I should play normal mode to see what happens, but when you beat it on Madhouse, it automatically gives you the trophies for beating it on easy and normal. So we're gonna go in here. Turns out that if you just try and go through the door, I don't think you... Oh shit, I was wrong. Never mind. Uh-oh, getting fucked up. I thought those enemies only spawn after you try to deal with that first asshole, but no, I think they spawn regardless, because they're just sitting in the room waiting for you. So, when you go into the generator room, you deal with some wall molded here, because I really like how this area is kind of constrained. You could have put one right here. That's, you know, that's the first place you think to go. You come through the door and you see, you know, over there, and of course there's one of them sticking out of the wall here, so you don't want to go over there. You turn here, pass through this way. You can go through there, but he's within striking distance, and then there's another one right here. So you kind of got to make your way around them. Once you do that, you use the key you picked up in the lever room, which is the dissection room key here. Just like how you pick it up in the furnace room, you'll pick it up in the lever room. You'll push your way through, and you actually do not have to go through this sequence right here of Jack grabbing the dog's head. Instead of it being Jack, I would have it be Lucas that grabs it, and he kind of goads you into, he's like, come on, you know, come get me, instead of it being Jack here. But we're gonna go ahead and grab it and see this scene with Jack, or try to grab it. Yeah, I like the English version better. I like hearing now he thinks he will be the father. And now she says he will be the father. It's much more interesting. So, of course, since we saved poor deputy, he won't end up there. But if you don't save him, you'll see him and he'll be dead there. And Instead of seeing Jack there, of course, Lucas will come around the corner and grab it from you before you're able to get it. And he'll be like, hey, how you doing, sis? Or how you doing, bro? Nice to see you again. And then he'll, you know, be taunting you, and he'll go through the door there. So you'll come around here, and you'll see Jack destroying another enemy, a new enemy in the game called the automated sentry. Remember when I was talking about how there are these creatures that are combined with, well, I don't know if I explained before that, but they are combined with computer parts and mold. Normally that won't work, but this is a video game, and the mold is kind of fucking magical in and of itself, so whatever. So Lucas has outfitted some of these molded creatures with some of the victims' bodies. The mold gets on their body, and Lucas has outfitted them with pieces of sharp metal that he's welded together, and computer parts and things like that to make these automated sentries that do what he wants them to do. And it works by sending electronic jolts through their body, and he kind of like plays with them on a joystick. And we'll find out when we go to his setup in the testing area. We'll find out how that works. Yeah, I'll talk more about that when we get to the testing area. In fact, let me write that down because I just pulled that out of my ass. Okay, Lucas controls sentries in testing area. All right, so Jack has destroyed one of these automated sentries because he doesn't like them. He thinks they're unsightly, and he thinks they're unsafe for Eveline. So when you get here, the pieces of the sentry will be here, and Aaron will comment on what the fuck is this thing. But as Aaron walks forward, he or she will automatically grab the shield and the sword. Now the sword takes up 3 slots in your inventory, and remember, at this point you wouldn't have a weapon if you save poor deputy. You would only have the knife. So when the player gets the sword and shield, they're like, oh my god, you know, finally something to fucking defend myself with. I've got some information on the sword and the shield, and before we start the Jack fight, I'll go ahead and cut it and call it a day with this one, with this revision video. But okay, so the sword will take up 3 inventory spaces in your inventory. The attacks for the sword are medium to close range, and it's a faster melee weapon than the other large melee weapons you'll find in the game. But of course, it attacks slower than the knife, and as the knife is the only melee weapon in the game that can be utilized for solving puzzles, you always want to keep the knife with you, because the sword cannot be utilized for fighting off the automated sentries in a certain way that I'll explain later. But the most important thing you pick up from this automated sentry corpse is the shield. The shield is an item that is used to block 100% damage from the front. You can be attacked from the side or the back, even with the shield equipped, even with the shield pulled up and defending yourself from the front. When you actually hold L1, you press and hold L1 to start blocking with it. And when you do that, the shield is reinforced to where the bottom of it kind of extends outward and down. So it gives you more coverage when you hold L1. Instead of doing this guard with your fucking hands trying to guard, you know, a weapon or teeth or something stupid like that, you'll pull up the shield with your left arm, and it will extend. As you grip the shield's grip, it extends it at the bottom. And if you guard, you can block anything above you. If you crouch, you can block any attacks that would normally hit your legs. But the problem with crouch guarding is if an enemy attacks above you, like kind of like an overhead is in a fighting game, it will knock you backward and knock you out of your blocking stance. So you'll have to stand up and start blocking again, or just go into a blocking stance again. So you saw how when I was dealing with those molded, they did like an overhead slash. If an enemy is to do something like that to you, it'll knock you over if you're crouch guarding. Alright, so see, the shield, by the way, does not have to be in one of your equip slots, your 4 equip slots. It can just be anywhere in your inventory where it'll take up 2 spots of space, and you'll automatically have it equipped to your left arm for usage. We'll also go with an evasion mechanic for the game. So say you don't have the shield, we can, if you I think I would make it to where you can equip and unequip it in the inventory instead of just it automatically equips to your arm. So that way you won't be forced to use it at every turn. And when you would prefer to use the knife and the evasion tactics, you can quickly do that on the fly without having to run all the way to an item box and drop the shield in the item box, then go to wherever you were and use evasion. So you could equip and unequip the shield from the inventory menu. When you do not have the shield equipped and you press and hold L1 like this, you actually kind of brace down. You don't go as far down when you crouch like this. You kind of have a middle, an in-between brace in with these two heights. And you'll see your hands come, I explained this before in the video, but you'll see your hands kind of come up at the edge of the screen. And what this is getting you ready for evasion or a slam attack. So the way it works with evasion is you have to not have the shield equipped. You hold L1 and you go into your brace stance. If you're hit while bracing, the impact is lessened. It doesn't mean it takes less damage. It still does the same amount of damage, but your player won't stagger as much. You notice in this game when I get hit, sometimes my camera shakes around like I've got fucking, I don't know, shaken baby syndrome. Oh my god, why the fuck would I say that? No, it's not appropriate. Your camera shakes around a lot, like you're playing, like when I was playing Call of Duty and I would get shot and my camera would jump like 4 fucking feet. That it does that. So when you're bracing, if you're just holding still and you're bracing for an attack, you'll actually kind of you'll get hit and it'll do the same amount of damage, but it won't make you stagger nearly as much, and it won't make you stagger nearly as long. So that's one thing that bracing does for you. Another thing is that bracing, the whole mechanic of bracing is supposed to be used for evading. So the way it would work is if you brace and then you press back or left or right, your character will dodge in that direction. So they will automatically quickly step to the left, quickly step to the right, or I actually did that backwards, but quickly step to the left, quickly step to the right, or quickly step backwards to evade certain enemy attacks. If you press and hold L1 and press forward, you will actually thrust into the enemy and knock them over. Some enemies will not be knocked over by this because they're large enough to kind of eat the hit, like how Jack can in the later fight we're about to go through. But they will stagger, though, at least a little bit. If you do this at the right time, you can't do it when an enemy is not attacking at you. If you thrust into an enemy and they're not attacking, they will evade the thrust or they will counter and hit you. But if you wait until they go into an attack animation and then thrust into them, you'll actually kind of knock them back. And some enemies will be knocked over from that, including the automated sentries. Okay, so crouch evading, when you crouch down and you evade to the left, the right, or you evade backward, that will cause you to dive in that direction, including forward. So when you crouch and hold the evade button and then you press in one of the directions, you will dive in that direction. You can do this to knock enemies over. You can do this to get out of the way of some of the larger enemy attacks in the, later on in the game. But of course, diving takes a little bit to get up from. So the game is autosave like 3 fucking times. It's crazy how they take care of you in easy mode. But the way, yeah, the crouch, it takes a little bit time for you to get up. So you don't want to do it too willy-nilly or enemies will be able to attack you in the time that you're getting up. I did miss one thing with the shield to explain how the shield's parrying works. If an enemy attack is coming at you and you guard at the right time, you'll actually be able to knock them into a certain stagger animation where if you attack, you'll do a particular attack and will have all the attacks that you can do. If it's a melee, it'll have a particular attack that you can do. For instance, like, I don't know, but the sword you thrust into their head or something like that. And with the knife, you cut their throat or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It'll be something where you can learn to do it and learn to get the reward of doing it correctly. So that when you're dealing with multiple enemies at one time, which you eventually will be, in fact, in this area, you will be dealing with multiple enemies at one time. You can utilize it correctly and get the reward of doing more damage to the enemy and having an easier time defeating them. So, went through evasion, we went through the shield. The next stuff is the Jack fight. So let's get to the Jack fight, and then I'll cut it off here, and we will start that next video when I get a second. Poor deputy. Oh, I forgot I'm not in the English version. Poor deputy. I can't say it again. What the? Huh. Normally you're able to say it again. Alrighty. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for listening. See you later.